I'm making this video for the Afrocentric community or the Black community, which I hate. I hate when people say the Black community because none of us are black, right? We're all shades of brown, Black Americans, African Americans. Silly terms, but I understand that people in this world like labels because they like to be able to point and be able to put something in a box, which was obviously orchestrated by someone, but sometimes some people can't think outside of the program and they were placed in. So this video is more for why, without using anything complicated. We're just using a little bit of common sense because I'm not the biggest history buff, but I'm really big on reading people and following the way that trends have been set and the way that things have been in the past versus how they are now. One thing I will say is that there's a lot of anger and it stems from a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of wanting to be understood, wanting to be accepted secretly, and people will and prave, um, push and prave about not caring, not wanting to be accepted, but in the same breath, they secretly want to be accepted. Everybody does. And the reason why I'm going to say everybody, regardless of if you believe that you are not part of the everybody, you are. Because in some capacity, shape, or form, you want to be accepted, whether it be by your partner, your family, an online forum that you're on in the wee hours of the night, your gaming community, whatever it may be. Every human in some capacity wants to be accepted by something or someone because that is the nature of us. Just like the companions that we have been given here on the earth, all the creatures and nature is all put together in harmony. We are to go coexist. Humans are pack animals, unlike dogs, which they call man's best friend. They're pack animals. They look up to us just like a lot of other communities, a lot of other ecosystems and species look up to us for guidance and for our help on different things. We all want to be accepted. And it can be very, very hard and disheartening when other groups, dismiss you or label you as something that you know as though you're not. And when something is constantly said and repeated, it becomes a mantra. And a mantra can become true when spoken into existence time and time and time again. It can be hard to break out of the programming and break out of the cycle, especially when you're forced to live inside of it. And for most of us, we were born into, this world not of our own volition. We never had the choice to make it. And sometimes you have to make the best of a bad decision. And I'm not perfect by any means. By any stretch of the imagination, I'm living the exact same world in the exact same world that you are. And sometimes you have to just make the best of it and choose what you do and not let the anger enrage you. And I know that it enrages a lot of you. A lot of people who look just like me, I know that you walk around with sometimes rage and sometimes anger, maybe not so. Maybe you have a different experience altogether. But in some capacity, you do feel and sometimes experience what someone who looks like you, but maybe has not been as gifted or as blessed, has experienced. And then that can completely shift the way and your perspective of thinking and allow you to see from a third person perspective the experiences of someone else who looks like you who may not have been as lucky. But I say all that to say that one thing that we should focus on is not not taking it out on each other and not fighting fire with fire. And it sounds so hard to do because there's so many different variables that come into effect. And trust me, I'm not naive. I'm not trying to be Moses or anything else. I'm not naive. I understand, but in order to get ahead in the world, I think that one approach that I have taken is that the people who prosper most are the people who try their best to go unnoticed. Try being an asset to your community. Try your best. Just try your best at life. Do what you need to do. Don't cause ruckus, meaning don't sell drugs, don't do drugs, don't sell drugs to others. Be helpful in your community. Try your best to be your best self. Try and improve your speech. People people promote, okay, well, this is Ebonics and this is how we talk. I think that living in the modern era, working at modern jobs, people who don't try their best selves to be their best selves, who don't try to be their best selves, are lazy. I don't give them any grace because I was born down K&A, Kansas City, Allegheny, where everybody makes from zombie land. I was before it was that. I went to Sheridan Elementary School. I live 3220 North 8th Street, right across from that Walgreens that is now torn down, right next to what was a Brightside Academy, which was right next to what was a Dunkin' Donuts. I went to John Paul Jones, which is now a Catholic school. I went to Kensington Culinary Arts High School. I went to Benjamin Franklin. I went to J.P. McCaskey in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I went to Millersville University in Millersville, Pennsylvania, and I went through all the trials and tribulations of everyone who looks like me, grew up very impoverished. Father was incarcerated. Mother tried her very best. Things never looked out right, always evicted, always an issue, always something, bullied constantly because I grew up a TV kid watching in the 90s, watching TV, cartoons. I was very, me and my siblings, we stuck together. We trauma bonded, if you will. But as we grew up, we became more in tune with ourselves, trying to learn ourselves before getting into relationships with other people, understanding that we felt different, and trying not to make ourselves the victim, but looking for a solution that didn't involve putting myself in a victim mentality and blaming someone else, because obviously what they taught us in school wasn't wholeheartedly true. And you learn that the more you get older, you learn that the system is designed for batteries and not for it's designed for batteries and not for you to be an orchestrator, because that role is already taken. So I think that the more you understand, the more you know, I think that what you do with that information is very important. I think that we should have a better outlet. We should fix our speech. We should, because personally, I'm going to explain myself. Because of where I've come from and the things I've been through, with it being 9 of us, me being the oldest, I know that it's possible to go from nothing to something. And I will never make excuses for anyone to not do it. And I understand that it's very, very difficult and it's very, very hard. And sometimes people don't have the role models needed to get there. But it's very hard for someone to want to lead and teach you if you are abrasive and not welcoming and not at least trying to give your best foot forward. One of the things that I am a very big advocate for is being self-aware. And I was very self-aware at a younger age, and I compare myself to other people because anything I can do, you can do. Unless you have a mental illness, you are excluded. But anything I can do, you can do. Anything anybody you see can do, you can do the same thing with research and proper practice. Just properly practice, Buy a thesaurus. You buying AirPods and brand new Nikes, you don't need that. You know what I'm saying? That kind of stuff is what keeps you stuck. You're fueling someone else's dream, and the media is promoting that because the media is on the side of the people who have been tasked with demeaning a certain community. And history will tell you that much. History will tell you that Black Americans, brown Americans, people who look like I are viewed as less than. And if they can't, and their way of getting to you is through the media, it's through mantra, and it's through force, and they use all of them at times, and you only make it easy by fitting into the stereotype that they put out there. Rap music is very enticing and interesting, and people wholeheartedly support rap music, and that's fine. But the way that I've been fruitful in life is not living my life vicariously through those people who put that music out there. Because 9 times out of 10, the people who put that music out there are living in Beverly Hills or living where all of the socially acceptable people are. You know, every group on this planet in some way has animosity towards the brown race, and we had this weird like thing where we kind of want to gravitate towards that, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because as I said earlier, we are pack animals, and we're all one race. There isn't multiple races. There's one race of people, and that's human beings. And we all suffer from the human condition. Everyone wants to be seen. Everyone wants to be accepted. And being accepted means doing whatever it takes to be accepted. And because the Europeans went through years and years and years of torturing indigenous people, slaves, and wiping away our culture and traditions, and brainwashing and whitewashing everything about us, a lot of other nations suffered the same fate, you know. So they're under the same umbrella of brainwashing, and some of them can't break through their program, and they try, and I can give them props for that. But they do try, but trying is only half the battle. You know, acting in small doses is what actually helps. This mantra. Just like going to church, and just like learning a new skill, you have to constantly, progressively work at it in order for it to get better. You can't just pretend it doesn't exist, or say it's okay, and then you have these negative thoughts, which I have negative and impure thoughts every day of my life. And what I do is I try my best to purge them. No one is perfect. No one is perfect. No one is ever going to be. Never idolize a specific person, but instead you can make them the focal point of what you want to work towards, and then you can use them as a reference point. But you never know the dark side of what people are, because we're human. We all suffer from that human condition. So at the end of the day, behind closed doors, you know, those people who you view as perfect, as we all know, may not be, and that's okay. I just think that everyone's looking for a saving grace and a messiah, but you have to do the work yourself, and it's very difficult because it takes small doses and small steps. And just like I'm working on myself, you have to do the same. And it was a little bit, I guess, easier for me to do the progression and work on myself because I have like younger siblings, and growing up, I always felt as though I couldn't really make the show about me, because I always view my life as like a TV show and I'm the main character, you know, like I'm in charge of my own existence. But as you get older, you realize that the world is a lot bigger, and there are a lot more rules and a lot more people able to take away your freedom at any given means. And it makes my heart hard when I see people, because there's nothing wrong with rap music and music videos. There's nothing wrong with viewing them as a means of, I guess, amusing yourself. But I think that taking them, that is also like a mantra. It's like a spell putting you under it, and people are going to dismiss that, and that's okay. You can dismiss it, but then when you go through your life, and only you can be honest about how you really feel, because people will put on the front for appearances, which I get. Everybody put on the front for appearances. We have celebrities who put on the front for appearances and are gambling to try and double what little they have to try and keep that image afloat, you know? And we can take that as a life lesson and as an example of why they should not be the focal point of your very existence, or maybe just a reference of, okay, maybe I should aspire to be as great or have those things, which don't really matter, because that's also another trap that is set up to boost the pockets of someone else. And a lot of these very wealthy people are very connected and very friends. You must believe that. You must believe that. They're very much so friends. They're very connected, and then they have these conversations. It's been showed on full display, as you've seen in the Epstein files. And I'm not going to talk about the Epstein files a whole bunch, but as you've seen in there, an example of higher epsilon men talking and formulating strategies on how to constantly oppress other groups of people. So with this information, what we can take from that is there is a plan in place to keep the untouchables at the bottom. And it just saddens me when I see lines outside the shoe stores, and I wear slides. I wear like Jesus sandals that I get from like Goodwill, and there's nothing wrong with wearing sneakers. It's fine. You can afford to buy it. But I feel as though if you have $500 in your bank account and the new shoes that just came out cost $450, I don't really think that that's a wise decision if you live in the projects, or if you have ramen noodles in the fridge only, or if, you know, your rent is due. You know, I just feel as though there's just so much many better decisions that we could make, and the decisions that we're actively making are only fueling um, the stereotypes, and making more powerful the people who put these plans in place to get you where you are in the first place. You know, I mean, there's no benefit for those at the top to help out those at the bottom, which is why we constantly see time and time again these false prophets and false messiahs that we put up to lead our community constantly use and abuse us to line their own pockets. That is the it's just it just is so transparent. I almost get angry that people fall into the trap time and time again. Like, one thing that I actively do is, like, every time I come back to Philly, I go to like new shops and stuff. And this is my sister. My sister did this to me. Go to new shops, and because there's like new shop, there's like a new business that opened up on CCB Moore. There's like a clothing shop, and even though I didn't shop there, I just went and I talked with the owner for a little bit, and I thanked her for opening a thrift store and telling her we needed a thrift store in the area. You know, just some positivity and stuff like that. And people don't do that. You know, they just walk in groups and terrorize and smoke weed on corners and stuff like that. And then they're envious and they get mad and they want to rob you. And it's like, why? You can do anything that I can do. And the reason why I'm in a place I'm in is because instead of doing what you're doing, I took that little bit of money and I actually went and sat down, did a little bit of research. It took literally probably like 24 hours. You have so many days that do everything else. It just took 24 hours of my time to try and figure out a way to get out of my own predicament, you know, and there's always a way out, no matter what. You know, you just have to work towards it. And it's just laziness. No one's going to save you. No one's going to hold your hand. You have to do the work. Stop being mad at each other, and be mad at the people who have you here in the first place. The stereotype was started by a specific group of people, and the way to beat them is to not worry about what they have to say, but to act outside of the stereotype and box that they have you in the first place. That is the only way to get out. The only way is through action, and more action. By the law. You think of it as a video game, and there's multitude of you are good at it. Pick whatever video game, whether it be chess, whether it be an actual video game, something. Think of it as your favorite video game, and think of beating your opponent within the rules of the video game. That is what you need to do in society. Play by society's rules. Take your anger and turn it into passion, and figure out what it is that you can do that'll make you happy. And that you're happy doing it. And no, not crime. We can't have that. You know, in a society where, think about where you want to raise your kids around yourself, and having yourself like. And I know it sounds like I'm targeting people, but I can only speak to people who look like me. I'm sorry, because Asians don't really like us like that, and I can't speak about all of them, but they classify themselves as white people. Hispanics classify themselves as white people. South Asians classify themselves as white people, and you know, it's just a common theme. And I'm not going to bash any specific nationality or group, but what I will say is that for the group that looks like the only way to beat the system is to progress past the stereotypes while playing within the rules, until you can get to a point where you may have a little bit of wiggle room to maybe change a few rules, and then, you know, go from there. And I think that that's the way that we beat the system, in a sense, because equality is never going to be a thing as long as a certain demographic holds the reins, because that's just how it is. I mean, after everything I've seen, I think people are so like burnt out because they've spent a lot of time in the past decade doing like desensitizing us to trigger words and things that they were going to do and things that they would say to try and get us almost like grooming. It's like grooming. It's pretty much like grooming. The police are no longer seen as authority because their mission is to oppress and bully. Not all of them, because there are people who are good and they serve, but like that's another thing that you can inform yourself on the law. Inform yourself on the laws in your states within your confines so you don't get overwhelmed. Just take maybe your city, and there's ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT. ChatGPT is free. You don't have to pay for a subscription. ChatGPT is my best friend. I like to build products in my spare time, and ChatGPT has been very helpful to me. And I talk to ChatGPT all the time, and it is a very useful tool. And instead of playing games and selling drugs and buying sneakers and hollering at bitches, like how about just ask ChatGPT, hey, how can I get this, or what does this mean, or what is this law, or what does this word mean? Fix your speech, fix your diction, fix your gait, fix your apparel, the way that you walk around, the way that you present yourself. Personally, for me, if someone comes up to me with a hoodie on and they have on big sneakers and ripped jeans and they want to have a professional conversation, I'm almost certain not going to really give that the time of day. And I know people are going to be mad by me saying that, and it sounds really harsh, but this is the reason why is because you have to do and I get it, that a lot of people, that probably wasn't really nice, but it's the truth. So I'm not going to backtrack, but because I'll probably start off with a laugh first before anything. Knowing myself, I laugh a lot, but it's just funny to me because I have siblings who do the same thing, but they know how I am, and they know how I talk, and they know how I act, and they know how I move. They know my past, they know my present, and they know what I'm going through, and I've done the work. And the work has not been easy, and sometimes you have to cut off what is, easy, accessible, and it makes you feel comfortable, and it makes you feel good, because it's not good for you. Doing the work is hard. It's supposed to be hard, but the outcome is so freeing. It feels so good. And sometimes we need to also think before we speak, regulate our emotions, which can run rampant, but regulate your emotions. And I think that once we start to do those small things, we will start to progress in a better direction. And I think not being a false prophet, not trying to lead and be a community, do the work on yourself wholeheartedly first before you're comfortable enough with leading someone else. And it's okay also to not be perfect while trying to guide those others as well. It's okay, because pointers can always help, because somebody's going to be lost in some way, shape, or form. And when people do have genuine questions, I genuinely answer, because I can tell when there's a genuine question versus if it's just wordplay. Like you can hear it in diction, you can see it in gait, you can feel it and see it in mannerisms and face expressions. I'm very good at deciphering body language and the diction that people use and the words that they speak and the actions. You know what I'm saying? You can just feel it. And I may not say nothing at that time, but trust and believe you will be blocked. You will be blocked if I don't feel it, because it's just I've done the work. I've gone through many phases of myself, many phases of different people. So I'm very keen, and I still have some learning to do, because I made a lot of mistakes in the past few years with people and regarding people. So I'm learning different personality types every day. There's different people. People are really good at putting on a show, pretending to be something that they're not. So it's a lot. And if you have any questions, just feel free to leave them, and I will answer whatever I can. But I'll leave it there because it's like 25 minutes. Bye, guys.